The Australian Cybersecurity Centre aims to prevent security breaches and data theft, safeguarding revenue and, of course, reputation for so many businesses. But how they go about doing it? Well, let's find out. Hello and welcome back to Ending Cyber Risk. I'm your host, Mike Loader, and of course brought to you by the team at Arctic Wolf, where each episode we unpack the ways we can help end cyber risk online. Now it's time to explore the Essential 8 framework and how these management strategies are set to fortify businesses against cyber threats into the future. Joining me now to outline this further is Mark Thomas, Director of Security Services for ANZ at Arctic Wolf. Good to see you, my friend, and thank you for joining me.
Great to be here.
So what is the Essential 8 for those out there who've never heard of it, never experienced it and don't know what it is?
So the Australian Cybersecurity Centre came up with what they thought were the 8 essential security controls that organisations need to implement in order to prevent attacks from happening, to improve their detection capabilities, as well as enable recovery from a cyber breach.
Okay, so a sort of a full circle approach to if and when, or not a matter of if but when, in this day and age. So recently they made updates to the Essential 8. What does it say about the current state of cybersecurity in Australia if they're moving the pieces around?
Yeah, look, I think it says that we need to be doing more with security to protect Australian businesses, partly because as the threat landscape continues to evolve, it was necessary to update the standard of the Essential 8 risk management framework. So what we've seen is that there are now more responsibilities placed on organisations to improve or uplift their cybersecurity posture, and that means that they need to respond faster, they need to implement more holistic security monitoring as well, but essentially the number of responsibilities means that there's more emphasis on cyber, which can be a challenge for a lot of organisations, particularly if they don't have a team who's focused on security.
Yeah, 100%, especially I guess as we were talking about off air earlier, the skills shortage we're continuing to see. But what do you think is preventing organisations from adopting these frameworks, or why wouldn't someone jump in on this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we know that SMB operators are really the ones who are challenged by cybercrime. We know that there is an effectiveness problem when it comes to security, but I think there's really 3 key things that are the focus of why organisations are challenged to adopt the framework. Firstly, is complexity. We know that many organisations they don't just have 1 or 2 tools; they have 30 plus. In some cases, we've seen 60 or 70 different security tools, and that's really difficult to manage and maintain over time. And second, I would say it is time. What we find is a lot of small business operators, they don't necessarily have the time. Security is not necessarily a dedicated role, it's a shared responsibility. It might be the job of the IT manager who has people management responsibilities as well.
Or IT manager running the whole show.
It can be quite a challenge, right? And I think the last is around resourcing, it's the hiring. People know that they need to hire more skills, but there's not that supply there at the moment, and security is competing for the share of the IT spend. There are limited budgets in place, and what we find as we talk to our customers and prospects is that they can't find the talent that they need, and often that is too expensive.
Yeah, naturally so. But how resilient, I guess if you could give us some examples of businesses who have adopted the Essential 8 compared to those who perhaps haven't, what do you sort of see the differences are?
Yeah, I think firstly it is all about understanding that there is a problem when it comes to cybersecurity. So those who have adopted the Essential 8, they are displaying more maturity. They understand that education and awareness of the threat is really important. But secondly, they have the business buy-in. They have security leaders. They have a team to support them, and that might be only one person, but they are working with partners to support their cybersecurity journey over time. And I'd also say it's the simplification of security. They realize that yes, they've invested too much money already in the tools and the technologies. They just want to get an outcome. So for them, it's really about understanding that the data that they have already in place today, they can actually make sense of that data by working with experts in security to really drive that data into action so that they can actually have an uplift in their security posture. So I think it's a combination, of working with people that can provide the expertise in security, but also organisations who can provide that visibility and detection and response capability, so that organisations can improve their security in response to that threat.
Very well said. So what would you say is the best course of action for companies out there, organisations out there looking to adopt the Essential 8? Where's, I guess, the starting line?
Well, firstly, it's about having an outcome. What does the security outcome look like? So have a vision of where the company is today, but where it needs to be in the future. And then secondly, it's all about simplifying the technology stack. You might use the existing tools and controls that are in place today, but it's working with that data to derive meaning and value from it so that you can achieve that outcome. And then the third, I would say, it's about building a plan. Don't just focus on reducing the likelihood of a breach through 24/7, but also have the capability to look at how to reduce the likelihood of that threat actually occurring. So that's building a plan over time. It might be 12 months, it might be 18 months.
Very well said. I want to thank you for joining me in the studio again for this episode of Ending Cyber Risk.
Thank you.
Well, that's the program for the moment. Of course, head to tickernews.co for more. I look forward to seeing you again soon as we end cyber risk. Be well.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.